Did you see the study that says now we really can prove that women's brains do in fact change when they're pregnant and how
Yeah.
long it takes for them to return and like it actually affects the gray matter of our brain. Like we lose some crazy percentage of this gray matter, which is where we store information. And so we're actually not crazy. We mom brain and pregnancy brain is a very real thing. And I'm in a very weird position right now because I lived in LA for 13 years. I had my established core group of people who loved me, who I could show up as myself in whatever season I was in. And like they knew me, loved me. There was nothing to prove. But I'm in a new community with people who don't know me. And I'm 40 years old and I'm like making friends for the first time. And I'm really struggling with the fact that my brain, I genuinely don't feel like I'm firing at all cylinders. And I'm having conversations with people where I can see on their face, I've asked them these questions before.
Mm,
Or, so it seems like I'm disinterested or like I haven't, really paid attention to past conversations we've had, which just like breaks my heart because I pride myself on being a fully present, make you feel special and seen if you're talking to me kind of person. And so I just don't feel like I'm putting my best foot forward. And it's so hard being a new mom, like a postpartum mom in social settings. Like
yeah.
and I don't know, it's been really, really hard and kind of like weighing on my heart. So when I saw that study, I was like, oh, I feel kind of validated. Like I'm not, having early onset dementia. Like I
Right.
honestly feel like Andrew's looked at me several times and been like, are you okay? Like what you're saying isn't even making sense. Or like I'll stop a sentence in the middle of the sentence and just never finish it. Like, and he'll say, like, did you want to finish that thought? And I'm like, what thought? What was I saying? I don't even remember. And like, I know that it will pass, but it's been really hard. Are you feeling any of that?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought this up because A, you are an amazing friend, and I want to tell you to give yourself grace during this, but I also feel the exact same way. Like, I honestly can't remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I feel like I have social anxiety, like when I do hang out with people, because all I know like, what to talk about right now are my children.
Right.
Is
And I
that a weird?
hate
I
that.
know. And then I hear myself and I'm like, God, I'm one of those people. And even
Yes.
Jason's like, I'm so tired of talking about baby stuff. Like, can we talk about anything else?
But like,
But
what
it's
else is there to talk about?
because that's our day in and day out and 24/7. And I do think the hormonal changes are so real. So this week I also had a lymphatic drainage massage for the first time
Mm,
to try and
amazing.
get some of this like C-section fluid retention out. And I was talking to her and I was like, I had, two babies within 14 months. And she was like, "Oh my gosh." She was like, "Your body has gone through so much trauma and the hormones are absolutely probably insane for you right now.
Yeah.
No wonder your period is lasting so long." So my period, I'm about to be on 2 weeks of being on my period.
Stop.
And
I know you mentioned before last week you were on it and that it was really heavy.
it's not as heavy as it was, but it's
Yeah.
still not like subsided
Oh,
really.
brutal.
And yeah, it's not fun. But I feel like all these hormonal changes, and she kind of described it as our bodies trying to get back to a state of homeostasis where everything feels like copacetic and it's working again. And I feel like that contributes to our brain not properly working or being so focused on just like mom stuff. And it also goes back to what we were talking about a couple weeks ago with like the mother mental load.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's just so much going on and our capacity is like at a max, like we're trying to heal and X, Y, and Z is also happening. And then are so forgetful and then we forget how to be a human being and have human conversations and
Yeah.
we have all this like anxiety over it. And then it's kind of like a sick cycle carousel, for lack of a better term.
I have
Yeah.
left every social setting I've been in lately being like, well, that wasn't my best work. Like, why did I tell that story?
At
That, or
least you're in social settings. I
I'm
feel like I'm like
trying.
literally a house hermit, like I said.
I keep starting these stories with people and I catch myself in the middle of it like, this is boring. So I will literally stop my story in the middle of telling a story and I'll be like, guys, I'm sorry. This is extremely boring. This is not worth my breath, your time. Life's too precious to waste on this story about my child, like, or about a dirty diaper or whatever the F.
And
It's
don't you
bad.
also feel like unless someone is in the same season as you, it's like hard to connect right now in
It
a
is,
weird
and I
way. And I
hate
feel
that.
like, yeah, and I feel like a weird gap of sorts. And I don't know what that is or what I can attribute that to. But then also like, yeah, I'll be around adults. I'm like so excited to have human friend interaction. Like we saw our friends, at Night of the Jacks, Knights of the Jack. I can't even remember the name
See?
of it.
Point and case.
But literally it's like and then I hear myself and I'm like, am I boring? And then you're so focused on chasing your kids around, you can't even have like a 10-minute full conversation. We're supposed
Yeah.
to have one of our good friends over this weekend for breakfast, and I'm like honestly scared because I feel like I want to sit and like have time one on one to like talk and catch up. But then is Emma going to be screaming at me? Is Kaya going to be running around? Is it going to be too hot for them to be outside? So do we need to be inside? And then is Kaya going to be jumping on the table? Because that's her newest trick that she does is she climbs the coffee table. And then yeah,
Yeah. A
it's
lot.
I understand why so many moms have like postpartum anxiety because I
Totally.
feel like I totally have that. Like I
Yeah.
am anxious about everything and I'm overthinking all these scenarios
Yes.
and everything's going to be fine, but I in my mind think it's going to be 10 times harder than it actually is. And yeah,
Yeah. The
imagine all these
intrusive.
make-believe things. Yeah.
Yeah, the intrusive thoughts are so real and so crazy. And I did have postpartum anxiety with Dylan, so I'm very aware and like trying to prevent that this time around, but I do catch myself. And I also, this is how sad. I feel like I'm in like a midlife crisis because I go to LA for work still every
Hmm.
other week, as you know. And I try to like fit in dinner with a friend or, just a little self-care or like alone time. Most of the
Yeah.
time I'm looking for alone time. But I was like, I feel like I need to do something interesting just so I feel interesting or like something a little wild. So I like texted my girlfriend. I was like, do you want to go to the beach and get a piercing? I
Ooh.
mean, an ear piercing. I'm not like
Right.
piercing my nipples or anything crazy, but it's like I was just like, I need to do something to like feel alive.
I know. Well, to feel like you're like not just a mom,
Right. I know. Or
right?
like just even for the plot. Like I feel like I need to do something so I have something to talk about with humans that's not babies.
I know. I know. It's like we're doing things for the thrill of it.